and I apologize for that.
No, but here's the thing. You had a previous drug case.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't understand why you continue to try to build your happiness off somebody else's misery.
This clueless defendant is back in court after refusing to follow Judge Boyd's order to enroll in felony drug court in Texas. That's essentially an intensive rehabilitation and supervision program designed to give eligible nonviolent offenders a chance to avoid prison. But only if they actually commit to the program. It's a serious opportunity when you're facing significant prison time. But instead of taking that opportunity, this guy basically threw away like it meant nothing. Now he's potentially facing life in prison, and somehow he's standing there acting like he has no idea how he ended up in this position, and just wait until you see his reaction at the end. It's honestly unbelievable. Let me know in the comments if you believe his story, or if you think he's simply pretending not to understand what happened. Let's dive in and watch.
And deferred adjudication. They're taking in consideration 2024 CR 008054. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report and TAP evaluation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections, state or defense?
No, Your Honor.
Any witnesses, state?
State.
Defense, any witnesses?
Only allocution in writing from the defendant.
All right. Any objections to the court reviewing the defendant's writing?
No, Your Honor, the state is actually reserved. No objection.
All right. The court will hear argument. Well, before I hear argument, there are some things that defense maybe you can address with the court. It says in the PSI that her guilt is minimized. And I did read where she's saying that the vehicle's not hers. She knew there was drugs in the trunk, but she didn't throw them away. She didn't do anything about it. So I don't know if there's any insight you would like to give on that.
Yes, Your Honor. I think it's a good inference from the stipulations and the PSI that she was used as a pawn, taking advantage of her poverty and her addictions to methamphetamine. And she's ashamed of that in her life, not only you, but more particularly to her family. There is an element of voluntariness in her actions. There's also an element of being trapped in her actions. And that was one of the things I would ask the court to consider before you assess punishment. I have 3 other remarks.
All right, you may proceed.
And I suggest to the court as a proper resolution of this case, because she's still relatively young, deferred adjudication, 10 years, ISF treatment, and she asks you to put her into drug court, which is intensive supervision for every day. That shows some indication of remorse and desire to be rehabilitated.
All right, so here's part of my issues, right?
Yes, ma'am.
One, I have to look at criminal history. And I would have clients sometimes, you know what they would tell me? Why are people looking at my criminal history? We're just here for this. That was in the past. But I would always tell them that your criminal history is sort of like a credit report. And what you're trying to get is probation. So people are trying to say, has she been placed on probation before? You know, will she do well?
Yes.
So it shows that you've been on probation before, and a motion to revoke was filed, and you were revoked and sentenced to 5 years. I know that was in 2007.
Right.
And then in 2014, you were sent to prison for another case. And in 2015, there's a case that you were sent to prison for, and I believe these were running concurrently because it appears that they were running concurrently. And then 2016, again, that's a case. It was running concurrently with the others. So what I'm viewing, it doesn't appear that you would be a good candidate for probation.
May I say something?
Sure. You want to raise your right hand, though, because the state may have some questions if you want to say something. All right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. You can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
My name is Samantha Benavides. I know, okay, I did, in 2010, I went to prison. I was going to get reinstated on probation, but I took it up with my grandfather, and my grandfather wanted me to go do the time instead of being reinstated on my probation because he was scared that I was gonna get messed up again and go do a large number of time, and he was gonna pass away.
And
while I
how
was
old were
gone.
you when that happened?
I was 29, 30. And so that's why I chose that. I chose that because my grandpa asked me to do that, and he ended up passing away 6 months before my release. But that is why I was going to get reinstated. At the time, my attorney was William Reese, and they were going to reinstate me and send me home. But my grandfather asked me to get it over with.
Oh, this is definitely not a good look. For anyone unfamiliar with it, drug court in Texas is essentially a structured, court-supervised rehabilitation program. Participants have to check in regularly, attend treatment, follow strict rules, and remain under supervision instead of going straight to prison. It's definitely not easy, especially for someone struggling with addiction, but compared to spending years behind bars, it's an opportunity many defendants would be desperate to have. The last time this guy appeared in court, Judge Boyd gave him that exact opportunity instead of sending him away for 8 years on his armed robbery case. All he had to do was enroll, show up, follow the rules, and take the program seriously. But instead, he flat out refused. It's almost like being handed a parachute and deciding you don't want to use it because you don't like the color. Except here, the fall could cost him decades of his life. If I were in his position, I'd be following every single instruction the court gave me. But some people seem determined to make their own situation harder. This isn't about some tiny legal technicality. It's about refusing the one opportunity that could have helped him stay out of prison. So what do you guys think? What should happen when someone with this kind of record refuses an opportunity like drug court?
That is why I went to prison.
All right, so you're telling me that I could understand maybe there being pressure on you with saying, oh, let me listen to my grandfather and take this time. But at the time you were 29, 30. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other cases, because you got out of prison and then you pick up more cases.
In 2014, I revoked. I have my parole, and I went back to ISF for the last 3 months of my my parole, and then that was done with that. And then in 2016, I went to prison again in 2016, and then I revoked and went back to safety, and I came out and I completed the rest of my probation.
Okay. Why do you keep failing at probation?
Of it with parole, the second.
Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
failed at probation and you failed at parole. Why?
The first time when I was younger, I really don't have, I made some poor choices in my life back then, and I was young, I was ignorant.
But no, for the case that you said the first case, you said, I just agreed to be revoked because of my grandfather.
Yeah.
All right. You're telling me then you were 29.
Yes, I didn't
30.
go report.
All
I didn't go
right.
report, and I
But then
I had a drinking problem back then.
Okay.
And back then I would use cocaine a little, and but I had a heavy drinking problem. So I was young, I was stupid, I was living in the bars basically. And I wasn't, keep out there running the streets or nothing like that. I just didn't want to go report. And that was my biggest downfall right there. If I would have just went and reported and went and taken a UA, everything would have been okay. My life would have been a little bit, different. The other time, when I got out, I violated parole. It was because I came out of dirty UA.
Okay. Let me ask you this,
Okay.
because I understand your past. Do you know the amount of drugs this was, the weight of it?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
It's a lot, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can continue.
My life for a little while, I was just, I made a lot of mistakes and I'm not proud of it. I'm very sorry for them. If I could take them all back, I would. Now that I'm older, now that I see things differently, and trust me, this opened my eyes. I was doing a lot, I was just trying to, this last offense it was something, it was just, I was trying to, get by, pay my bills. I was stuck in it. I was just trying to get out of it. and I see now that what it cost me, what it could cost me. And I apologize for that.
No, but here's the thing. You had a previous drug case.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't understand why you continue to try to build your happiness off somebody else's misery. So that's basically what you're doing. You're taking a shortcut and you're building your happiness off somebody else's misery. Addiction and can't stop. And there you are for money.
Correct. You're right.
All right. State, do you have any questions?
Just facts of this case now.
Okay.
Ms. Venegas, on this case, you stated that the drugs weren't yours or the drugs were somebody else's.
It wasn't mine. It was in the vehicle.
All right. Could you speak up, please?
It wasn't mine. It was in the vehicle, but I was aware that it was in it, and I should have gotten rid of it.
So you're
When I
aware that you had a
opened it.
key in your pocket that matched the lock to the box that the drugs were in, correct?
Yes.
Right, okay. No further question, Your Honor.
Nothing further. I have one other point, Your Honor.
Yes.
She has family support and was unable to get finalized letters into your hand indicating that support. That's all, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Venegas,
Yes, ma'am.
the amount of drugs in this case
Yes, ma'am.
is, let me see, over 400 grams.
Yes, ma'am.
And from what I read in the police report, and this whole thing about the being in your boyfriend's car and you don't know, you were in your boyfriend's car and you should have got rid of them, but you didn't. It doesn't ring true based upon what I read in the police report, because according to the police report, you're known as a, that's what it says in the police report, and that's what was stipulated to. I don't think you're a good candidate for probation. The court is going to find you guilty. The court will sentence you to 15 years in the prison. There's a $2,000 fine. Time and money will run concurrently. The court will take in consideration 2024 CR 008054. I'll suggest the therapeutic community. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Excuse me. Thank you. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
And here's the problem with treating a court order like it's something you can negotiate. He's standing there trying to explain that he didn't understand what he was supposed to do, claiming that his attorney and even people involved in the program told him he'd be fine if he refused to sign. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds pretty hard to believe. IT almost feels like somebody convinced him there was some kind of loophole, and now he's standing in front of Judge Boyd trying to explain why he followed that advice. But Judge Boyd clearly isn't buying it. You can see it in her reaction. And honestly, it's difficult to blame her. This wasn't just an accidental misunderstanding. He was given opportunity, understood what was expected of him, and then chose not to participate. And when you're dealing with the court, those choices have consequences. Judge Boyd even makes it clear that he's potentially looking at life in prison as, oh, let me know what you guys think. If drug court was essentially his opportunity to avoid prison, should refusing to participate result in the maximum punishment? For 10.22 to 13.26. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And in this case, the prize was 8 years in prison. Judge Boyd saw right through what was happening and didn't waste much time entertaining excuses. By the end, he's complaining about the outcome, while Judge Boyd simply acknowledges him and moves on. And honestly, I don't know what he expected. Felony drug court isn't some easy slap on the wrist. It's a serious program that combines strict rules, rehabilitation, treatment, and constant monitoring in an effort to keep someone out of prison. If you successfully complete it, you have a chance to avoid spending years behind bars. But if you refuse to participate, you can end up right where this defendant is now. That's the part that makes this case so frustrating. He was given an opportunity to change the direction of his life, and he chose to throw it away. When a judge gives you a direct order and you deliberately ignore it, the consequences shouldn't come as a surprise. And honestly, I think Judge Boyd handled this well by refusing to get dragged into all the excuses and simply focusing on the decision he made.